Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll show you how to make this cute porch sign with your Cricut. I'll also show you how to grab the SVG file for free so you can make your own. This is a fun and easy project and I'm excited to show you how to make it. For this project, you'll need a piece of wood, and mine measured about 48 inches by 7 1/4 inches. And I used pine. You'll also need 3 12 by 12 inch sheets of vinyl, sandpaper, transfer tape, your weeding tool and scraper, staining supplies, a polyurethane finish, your Cricut, a cutting mat, and the cut file. So grab your supplies and head over to your computer. The first thing we need to do is grab the SVG file we'll be using for this project. You can get it for free on my blog at burtonavenue.com. I keep all the SVG files for these projects that I make and share in my free SVG library. These files will work with all kinds of cutting machines and they're free to everyone. Once you're on my site, just click on Free SVG Files and then Free SVG Library. You will need a password to get into the library, and there are instructions on the screen if you need to get one. Once you're in the library, you can search for the file Welcome-ish. It will either be listed under the most recent projects and cut files or under the Everyday category. You can also use your browser search to find it. I've added the unique code BA1499 after the file name to make finding the design a little bit easier. Once you've found the file, go ahead and click on it, and the file will be downloaded onto your computer. Now when you download these files online, they come in a zipped folder and you'll need to unzip or extract them before you can use them in Cricut Design Space. To do this, you'll need to go to the location where downloaded files are saved onto your computer. Once you're there, look for that zipped folder that we just downloaded and double click on it. A new window will open and somewhere you should see the option to extract or unzip. Click on that and another window will open up. And this will just show you where on your computer the unzipped files will be saved. And you need to remember this location because you'll have to get to it once you're in Cricut Design Space. Now click on Extract, and those files will be unzipped and they're now ready to use in Design Space. So let's head over to Cricut Design Space and start a new project. Once you're on this canvas screen, you can click on the Upload button, and then click Upload Image, and then click on Browse. And now you'll want to go to that location where the unzipped files were saved onto your computer. Once you're inside of that folder, you'll see several different file types listed, and we need to use an SVG file. But you'll notice there's not an SVG in this list, and that's because on my computer, the SVG file is actually showing up as this Microsoft Edge HTML document. And it could also be showing up as a Chrome HTML document. So if you don't see an SVG in this list of files, be sure to look for one of those instead. So select the file and click Open. Make sure it's the design you want to work with, and then click Upload. Select the design one more time and click Insert Images. And now the design will appear on your canvas screen. So now we're going to resize the design so that it will look good on our porch sign. And to help us do that, we're going to create a rectangle that is the same size as the piece of wood that we're going to put the design on. So click on Shapes and choose Square. And then you'll need to go up and unlock the padlock and put in the dimensions of your piece of wood. And mine measures a little less than 7 1/4 inches by 48 inches tall. I'm also going to change the color so it's closer to the stain that I'm going to use. And then click on Arrange and choose Send to Back. And that will just bring the design in front of the rectangle. And then you can click on this minus sign to make everything smaller. And now you can select the design and just drag on those arrows to resize it until it looks good on that rectangle. When you're happy with the size, you can delete the rectangle and send the design to your Cricut to cut. Now because the design is so big, it's going to break things apart, so that it will fit on our cutting mat. And you'll see it breaks it into 3 different mats with all these different pieces. And what we're going to have to do is cut out this vinyl, weed it, apply the transfer tape, and then apply the letters individually to our wooden sign. The problem with doing it this way is it's really easy to get your spacing off or your centering off, or sometimes the letters aren't straight. So I'm going to show you a few extra steps that will help you apply the letters to your board straight, centered, and with the correct spacing without any guesswork. There's quite a few steps involved, but I promise it's worth it. There's nothing more frustrating than doing an entire project only to find out that you've applied the vinyl crooked or it's not centered. And these steps will help to make sure that that never happens. So we're going to go back to the canvas screen and click on the undo to bring back the rectangle. Then we're going to select both the rectangle and the design and click Align and then choose Center. And this will be exactly how we want our design to be on our board. It's centered from right to left and from top to bottom. So we're going to place some alignment guides so we'll know exactly where to position our letter W on the board. So I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger again. And then we're going to draw 3 rectangles. We'll want 1 skinny horizontal one and 2 skinny vertical rectangles. And now we'll just drag these rectangles onto the bigger rectangle and align them with the edges. So we'll align this one with the top edge and then these with the left and right edge. And you just want to make sure that these rectangles don't touch your letters at all. So then when we cut out the letter W, we'll also cut out these rectangles with it. And when we go to apply the W onto our board, we'll just match up all the edges and we'll know that the W is straight and centered and perfectly aligned with how we want it. So I'm going to delete this big rectangle now. And then we want to group these skinny rectangles with the letter W. But you'll notice when I select the W, it selects the entire design. And we need to ungroup it so we'll be able to select just the W. So right click and choose Ungroup. And the first time that will just break the design apart into the word welcome and then these 2 smaller phrases. And we need to select the word welcome one more time and ungroup that as well. And then we'll be able to select the individual letters and work with those. So let's select all of these rectangles and the letter W and right click and choose Attach. And so now those are all locked together. And now we need to add some other guides so we'll know where to place the rest of these letters on our board. And we're going to do that by adding some registration marks. And we're just going to create 2 little squares. And I'm going to make them about 1/4 inch. And then I'm going to make a copy and space them out just a little bit. And then align them and right click and choose Weld. And the way these registrations mark work is we cut them with each group of letters and then we just match up the registration marks as we go down the sign. So with a regular cutting mat, we can cut groups of letters that are 11.5 inches tall. So as we're grouping these letters together, we just need to make sure that the height is under that dimension. So we're just going to test this first one out. I'm going to drag these registration marks under the E. And then I'm going to select this entire group and make sure that the height is under 11.5 inches. And it is. So we know that we should be able to group 2 letters together instead of just having to cut individual letters. So the next thing we're going to do is make a bunch of copies of these registration marks. Okay, so now this is going to be the first group of letters we're going to cut. So we're going to select all of this area and right click and choose Attach. And so what that's going to do, it's going to lock all of this together so that when we go to cut, it's going to cut everything just like we see it on our screen. So now that section's done, let's work on the next section. So we're going to take a set of these registration marks and place it over these registration marks that are on top of the L. And then we're going to grab another set of them and place them below the C. Now I'm going to move the E and the W out of the way. And then we're going to select this section. Once again, make sure it's less than 11.5 inches, and it is, and then right click and choose Attach. So now that section is done. Let's work on the next one. So we're going to place another set of registration marks on top of this set. And then we'll place one set below the letter M. We'll move this section out of the way. And then select all of these. Check the height again, and it looks good. And right click and choose Attach. So now we'll place these registration marks over the marks above the E. And then we'll place another set below here. We'll move this set out of the way. Select all of this. Make sure it's less than 11.5 inches, which it is. And then right click and choose Attach. And then we'll place the last set of registration marks right over the top. We'll move this out of the way and then select all of these and right click and choose Attach. And now I'm going to zoom out just so you can see all the different sections we've created. So we have one here, 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 and then this last one. And they're all attached together, and now we can send it to our Cricut to cut. So we're going to click on the green Make It button. And once again, it sorts this project into 3 cutting mats. But you'll notice it's keeping the same spacing between the letters as we saw on the Canvas screen. It also has these registration marks and alignment marks, so we're going to know exactly where to place these letters on our board. So if everything looks good, you can click on the green Continue button. Once Design Space finds your machine, you'll be taken to this screen. Make sure that your dial is set to vinyl, and then you can go load your cutting mat. So place a piece of white vinyl on your cutting mat and smooth it out so there aren't any wrinkles or bubbles. Then load it into your Cricut by pressing the up and down arrow button. When your Cricut is ready to cut, you'll see that C button light up. Press that and the machine will begin cutting. When the first sheet is finished cutting, press the up and down arrow button again to unload your mat. Remove the first sheet of vinyl and put on another piece of vinyl. And repeat these steps until everything has been cut. Remove all the vinyl from your cutting mat and then weed away any excess vinyl from around the letters. You can use a weeding tool to help you pull out any pieces from inside of the letters. Next, grab a piece of transfer tape that's bigger than the entire design and place it sticky side up on your work surface. You can either do this in one big section or you can do it sheet by sheet. Place the vinyl on top of the transfer tape and smooth it down. Rub over everything with your scraper and then you can trim off the excess transfer tape. You can also trim apart the different groups of letters. Now that our vinyl is ready to go, let's work on our board. You'll want to sand your board so it's nice and smooth. You can sand by hand or you can use an electric sander. Remove any sanding dust and then stain with the color of your choice. I use dark walnut for this sign. I like to use a foam brush to apply the stain and then wipe it off with an old towel or blue shop paper towel. I usually apply the stain and wipe it right off, but if you'd like a darker color, you can let it sit for about 10 minutes before wiping. Let it dry for a couple of hours and then apply a polyurethane finish. You can either brush on a finish or spray it on. Let that finish dry for a couple of hours. Now grab the vinyl letters with the W and the E and pull off the vinyl backing. Position the vinyl on your piece of wood. You'll want to match up the lines with the edges of the board. Once it's in place, rub over the design with your scraper and then carefully pull off the transfer tape. Make sure those registration marks stay in place. Next, grab the vinyl with the L and the C and pull off that vinyl backing. Now you're going to replace the vinyl backing, but shift it down just a bit so only the registration marks are showing. Now place that vinyl on the wood sign. Match up the registration marks and then press down on the transfer tape. Now carefully remove the vinyl backing again. It should come off easily since we already took it off earlier. Be very careful to make sure the registration's marks stay in place. Then slowly press down the vinyl onto the sign. Once everything has been pressed down, carefully pull off the transfer tape. Repeat these steps until all the vinyl has been applied. Then you can pull off the registration marks. You can seal your sign if you want, but since mine is going under a covered porch, I decided not to. And that's it. This project is finished. Now you just need to find a place to display your sign on your front porch. If you enjoyed this project and want to see more like it, be sure to subscribe and click on that notification bell so you'll get notified each time I post a new video.